Hello and welcome back to Crypto Saving Experts, where we talk about the latest cryptocurrency news and take a look at the markets so that we all know exactly what is happening. My name is Jess, and we do these live streams every single weekday. So make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. Today we have a lot to discuss. We are going to be talking about those Bitcoin ETFs once again. They did launch into the markets yesterday, and maybe they didn't perform as well as we wanted them to, but we will be taking a look at all of that information today, analysing the data there to see the inflows and outflows from those ETFs and see what this means for the future of the cryptocurrency markets. We'll also take a look at Ethereum ETFs. Will they be the next thing to get approved by Gary Gensler? Are we looking at altcoins entering the markets and seeing multiple different ETFs being launched within the next year or so? I want to be talking about all this today, and then we've got some more what's the miscellaneous news of the day? We've got some news on inflation because the inflation data came out yesterday. We've got a bit of news on Do Kwon there as well. So lots to discuss. Let's check in with the live chat this morning. Good morning, Bike Man. Good morning, Jason from Australia. We've got James. Jess, it is 11. Is it 11:30? We're working on the timings. The timings aren't perfect just yet, but they are improving, and that's the important thing. At the end of last year, we would go live at 11 a.m., 10 a.m., 7 a.m, then 5 p.m. It was all over the place. 11 till 12 is the goal for the start of the streams, and then it'll improve as time goes on. Trying to do these at 11 a.m. every single day, but obviously it is a little bit varied. It's very hard to get that timing right with making the thumbnail, selecting all the news, making sure we're all ready to go, and doing all the research behind these. Sometimes it does take a little bit longer than expected, but we'll get there. Good morning, Monkey Nuts. Good morning, Bruce, in the chat. Bitcoin to the moon, Bruce says. Fingers crossed. Boris says, I'm a little bit quiet. Now, this isn't the first person to have said this. Let me see if I can fix this. Now, I don't exactly know how I can fix this. I use OBS for my streaming, if anybody knows about OBS, and it's not exactly the easiest thing to use. Hopefully that makes it better. That should be better. Let me know if there is a problem there. Jason Smith says, am I the only one thinking altcoin season is upon us? Well, we are going to be talking about this today. To be honest with you, I've got a call at 1 p.m, so we've got a full hour here where I'm just going to talk about everything going on in the cryptocurrency markets. If you have any questions today, drop them in the live chat because we'll be going through it all. If we can stay on stream for an hour, brilliant. If we run out of things to say, then we'll shut off early. But I think this is going to be an hour live stream because it's a nice way to pass the time before that meeting at 1. So Jason Smith, is this altcoin season? Let's talk about that quickly first. Let's take a look at the price of Bitcoin. We've got Bitcoin sat at $46,145, down slightly in the last 24 hours. And we have Ethereum in the green for the last 24 hours, up to $2,653. Now, yes, that move is pretty small, but we have seen a huge reversal when it comes to the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. So if we take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin right now, it's been pretty volatile, but it's still within that price range. We did retest that $49,000 level yesterday, which was absolutely brilliant. Unfortunately, we did not break through it though. But let's take a look at what's been going on the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. So on this chart, if it's moving to the upside, Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin. And if it's moving to the downside, Bitcoin is outperforming Ethereum. Now, if you take a look at this, you can see Bitcoin has been outperforming Ethereum since September 2022. But that has completely changed. We've seen a huge spike when it comes to Ethereum here, with Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin and a real big move to the upside. Now, if we take a look at what's going on with the Bitcoin halvings, let's pull this up. Let's spell it correctly first of all. Bitcoin halving events. This is something that I have been looking at a lot. Now, if we pull this chart out to the weekly chart, I've been talking about this on this channel, on my own channel, a lot within the last year or so, because during the bear market, when Bitcoin was going down and down and down and down, there was a lot of different plays to be made. A lot of people were choosing to invest in altcoins. A lot of people were choosing to invest in Ethereum. I personally was choosing to invest into Bitcoin. Now, I was just choosing Bitcoin over and over again because I was looking at what historically happens in the markets. And you can see here in the previous cycle, Bitcoin was outperforming Ethereum on the bigger time frames. Obviously, some days this is reversed until a couple of months before that halving. Now, 4 months before that halving, we did see that shift and Ethereum started to outperform Bitcoin. Now, we all know in the markets what tends to happen is Bitcoin has its run at the start of a bull market. Then we shift onto those high cap coins, so Ethereum, and then we shift onto those mid cap coins and then the low cap coins where we see all those 100x gems. So there really is this cycle here, and I really wanted to take advantage of that as somebody who doesn't really dabble in meme coins and like get involved in a low cap coin and then jump out of it the next day and find the next one. I'm more of a long-term investor. I was looking at the long-term markets and seeing what the best strategy was there, and for me the best strategy is clearly investing in Bitcoin. Whilst Bitcoin is outperforming Ethereum and then making a shift into those altcoins and into Ethereum in the months running up to the Bitcoin halving. Now, we have hit that period of time where I think this shift for Ethereum and Bitcoin has started, and I don't think we're going to see the end of that soon. I think we are going to start to see a bigger shift here. Sorry, I'm just getting lots of messages through on my screen here. I think we are going to continue to see this change in the markets where Ethereum is going to continue to start outperforming Bitcoin. And with that, when Ethereum is performing very, very well, we do typically see the altcoins performing very, very well as well. Now, this is the previous Bitcoin halving. The next Bitcoin halving is said to be on the 22nd of April 2024. So let's pull that in there. That's the date we are looking at here. So it does marry up pretty nicely. Obviously, it hasn't been as dramatic this time around. In the previous bear market, Bitcoin outperformed Ethereum massively. But in this time, it has been a lot slower. But we still have seen that downtrend when it comes to this chart. And I am expecting to see some sort of bottom here and start to see that move to the upside. And when Ethereum is performing well, altcoins tend to start performing well as well. So this is where we can get excited about altcoins. I was investing in Bitcoin throughout this whole period of time during that bear market. And now that we have seen those nice gains relative to Ethereum, this is where I want to start making the shift, because my goal at the end of the day is to accumulate more Bitcoin. It's not more dollars. So I'm always looking at these charts to make sure that I can get the best out of the market. If we're seeing a shift here and we're seeing Ethereum's about to start outperforming Bitcoin, that typically means that we're going to see some altcoins really outperform Bitcoin as well. And I want to take advantage of that. Let's take a look at what else is going on in the markets here. Hopefully I'm not too quiet. James says, no, your sound is fine. Bruce says the sound is fine. Perfect. Let's take a look at what's going on when it comes to some altcoins here. Let's take a look at the biggest gainers and losers of the day. So we've got a little bit of a blip here on the channel, on the thing here. Let me refresh this page and see what we can do here. I'm pretty sure that's not meant to be there. Let me send that into the chat. There we go. Hopefully that can be sorted. So what we've got here is biggest gainers of the day. FTX up almost 10%, Tezos up almost 8%. We've got Bitcoin Cash up 5% and 1inch up 3 to 4% as well. Biggest losers, we're looking at Solana having a little bit of a pullback, 6% there. Rune, we're looking at almost a 6% and Ton as well. So there have been some fluctuations in the markets within the last couple of days. Again, not as much volatility as I was hoping for. So when these Bitcoin ETFs got approved on Wednesday night, we were live here on the channel at 10 p.m. at night discussing what this meant for the markets, and we were expecting some bullish things off the back of that SEC approval, but we did not get that. Now I expect this to be from the fact that this was actually the 4th time we were getting confirmation of these ETFs. If you think back to 6 months ago, we saw a Cointelegraph employee say that tweet that Bitcoin ETFs had been approved. We saw Bitcoin pump to the upside, and then we saw a quick dump to the downside when we realized it wasn't true. We then had a false tweet from the SEC's Twitter account on Tuesday saying the ETFs had been approved. Bitcoin shot to the upside and then moved back down to the downside shortly after when we realized it wasn't true. We then on Wednesday night saw a document from the SEC go live on their website, which quickly was removed, or not removed, it went down because the website went down. So then there was was a bit more fear in the markets. Was this true or not? And then finally we got a letter from Gary Gensler, the chairman of the SEC, saying yes, these ETFs are approved. Now by that time, all the volatility had been sucked out the markets, the liquidity had been sucked out the markets, people trying to trade this event had been wrecked 3 times already. So we just did not get that volatility that we were hoping for in the markets. So unfortunately, we have not seen that. I was expecting that potentially we would see that volatility yesterday when the markets actually opened and these products went live. But again, we did see a slight bit of volatility. We did retest that $49,000 level, but it was not what we were expecting here. Now, I'm seeing a lot of people saying, look, I was right. It was a buy the rumor, sell the news event. It wasn't even that. We didn't get any volatility in any direction. A buy the rumor, sell the news event is truly what it says on the tin. You buy the rumor, it moves up, the news comes out, and the price dumps. But the price did not dump here. The price did not move. It stayed the same. Volumes weren't incredibly high. It was not a buy the rumor, sell the news event. It was neither a buy the rumor, buy the news event. It didn't affect the markets as much as we were all anticipating in the short term. However, this is something that is going to affect Bitcoin in the long term, and that's really, really important. I'm sure a lot of you by now have seen what happened to gold after a spot gold ETF was launched. Let's pull that up. Gold ETF chart, Bitcoin, let's put Bitcoin on the end there and hopefully something comes up. So Bitcoin, let's pull this in so you can see what I'm looking at. Let's see if we can get the charts in here. Are the charts in here? Let's zoom out a little bit. It's all a bit zoomed in, isn't it? Charts, let's see if we can find this here. So you can see, how did gold trade at launch? Here we go. So this is what happened after a gold ETF went live. Is there a more zoomed out chart than this? Okay, so here we go. Gold shares went live here, and you can see a massive run to the upside for gold. Now, there is a difference between gold and Bitcoin in the fact that when a gold ETF launched, people were going out to mine more gold. The supply of gold was increasing at a faster rate once the ETFs went live, and that supply was increasing. So when the supply is increasing, it kind of limits the amount of price momentum you can get to the upside because of supply and demand. If supply is increasing and demand stays the same, if demand is increasing but supply stays the same, the price is going to increase. But if supply is increasing whilst demand is the same, the price is going to decrease. If they're both increasing at once, yes, the demand was outweighing the supply increase and the price was moving to the upside. But if there was a real cap on that supply, gold would have been even higher. So there is a possibility here that this is a bearish prediction if you project that onto Bitcoin. Bitcoin has a finite supply, and we know how many are going to be mined over the next 100 years. We know how they are going to be mined. We know when they are going to be mined. There is a limit on the supply for Bitcoin, and that cannot be said for gold. So when it comes to this, yes, gold was super bullish after this ETF launched, but we can look at this, and if we want to project this onto Bitcoin, we need to also take into account that Bitcoin has that additional advantage of having that limited supply. So things are looking really bullish if you look at this in the long term. That's just looking at what happened to gold. We also have the positivity of retail investors having more exposure to the markets, institutional investors having more exposure to the markets. We're seeing funds that are registered as securities already trying to change their documentation or already changing their documentation to get exposure to Bitcoin through futures ETFs, spot ETFs, Bitcoin trusts. And we are seeing huge companies now marketing Bitcoin. And I think that is the real big one that we need to highlight here. Companies like BlackRock, VanEck, Fidelity are now making marketing plans to push Bitcoin and their ETF to the biggest it can be. They're all competing when it comes to transaction fees, trying to get as low as possible and trying to drive up the demand of their products because they want as much money flowing into these funds as possible. Let's take a look at what's going on here. Square Peg says it can't be sell the news because the news is that companies are going to buy huge amounts of Bitcoin, but that hasn't happened yet. Well, this is definitely a long-term thing. Jason Smith says the effect on Bitcoin after the official ETF announcement turned out a little like when ETH went to proof of stake. Not going to say a non-event, but just early to the party, maybe. Well, I think this is something that we've been trying to get for years and years and years. I'm talking 10 years here. We've been talking about these spot Bitcoin ETFs for a very, very long time. These are super bullish long term. We can see that with gold. We can see that with the possibility of the marketing, the retail investors, the institutional investors, the funds wanting exposure to Bitcoin, and the amount of money that can flow into Bitcoin within the next couple of months. And especially when a bear market hits and that FOMO hits, these ETFs create a huge opportunity. So in the long term, this is still, to me, a super bullish event. It was just the short term, that was just a benefit. Having that move to the upside at the time those went live, that was expected to, the move that was expected to happen that didn't happen, that was just an extra benefit where we all thought we could make a few little trades and make some nice profit. Unfortunately, we didn't get that, but we are all here for the long term, and the important thing is these products are now live. Now let's take a look. Fonzie says was pathetic how the outcome was. I honestly think it has to do with the it's accepted, no it's not, it's accepted, no it's not. People were wrecked, people were getting liquidated off the back of all that fake news. It was delivered very, very poorly. We shouldn't have seen the SEC's Twitter account get compromised. They should have used two-factor authentication at best. There was a huge amount of problems there. We already saw the problem with Cointelegraph about 6 months ago when they falsely reported they were accepted as well. There was so much anticipation on the run up to these ETFs, and then by the time we actually got to the real announcement, too many people were liquidated. Let's take a look at what Kyle says. Be patient. Did you think all pension money would come on day one? It was both sell and buy the news event. That's why the price is basically the same. The effect will be same as halvening. I do think this is a super bullish event long term. I think that although we didn't see that nice move to the upside, there are more things to come. But let's take a look at how the first day of these ETFs being live went, because we've got some news articles about this, and then I want to talk about a tweet on Twitter that I've seen showing how unsuccessful the launch was. So let's talk about the positives of this first. Day one ETF ran up 700,000 trades and $4.6 billion in volume here. So this article will cover some vital statistics of the first day spot Bitcoin ETFs traded on Wall Street. You can see that these ETF products have gone live here, and here's the amount of volumes that have been going on there. The total figure surpassed $4.6 billion and came to $2.3 billion when not accounting for GBTC volumes. That's Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust there. Removing the GBTC volume was an essential marker. As stated, there was a very easy argument to be made that a ton of this volume was selling of GBTC and buying of other ETFs for now. So what we are seeing here is a shift from GBTC into alternative ETFs. So we're seeing here, Bito is a futures ETF that tracks the price of Bitcoin. The ETF does not hold spot Bitcoin and alternatively works under the framework of futures contracts. On the first day of the ETFs going live, Bito saw an all-time high volume with $2 billion traded. Bito's liquidity will serve a purpose in the market maker for a while. So what we've seen here is obviously people are moving from ex-GBTC into the new GBTC, Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust fund. So we're seeing here, let's take a look at the next article. There is something more about this in one of these articles. Let's see if we can find it. I think it might be on the tweet, actually. Let's discuss this tweet here, because I've seen a tweet this morning that says the Bitcoin ETF first day was terribly unsuccessful. Most people are reporting that $4.5 billion was traded. They are not analyzing the data. If you look at the numbers, you will notice that the total trade was $4.6 billion. GBTC was 50% of that, $2.3 billion. The GBTC numbers were majority sales outflows due to higher fees and the old Bitcoin being locked up. Therefore, the real numbers were close approximately zero net inflows. So let's take a look at some of the tweets here. Adjusting positions on first day after a terribly managed official approval is not a failure. If I was an investor new to Bitcoin with large amounts of capital, I will wait a couple of days and then start to deploy my capital. First day, all systems and personal are adjusting. Let's see what else everybody else has been saying in the comments here. This insight into the ETF's performance highlights the complexity. Some of these, I think they're just AI. First day possibly, but if you study this space, it was obvious that there would be strong outflows of GBTC for 3 reasons. Arbitrageurs left the trade, opportunity to be liquid, high fees, so many of those who sold will simply sell for cash and open new positions in another ETF. Yeah, so what we're seeing here is there's been a huge amount of competition in the markets when it comes to these ETFs and their fees. Grayscale does not have the lowest fees, so we may just be seeing people transition into other funds. Now there are others available in the market. GBTC was historically seen as a brilliant way to get exposure to Bitcoin because it was just an asset that held it was just a fund that held Bitcoin and nothing else. They tried to transfer it into an ETF for a very long time. They finally made that shift, but now there are others in the market. So there is that competition there, and people will be seeing some outflow and seeing some shifts here because of those changes in fees and the wide range of opportunity there that was not there before. Now, the other thing to take note of is, when it comes to these ETFs, what was the point that guy's just made in the chat? Arbitrage left the trade. Another thing to notice is Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust. That has not been pegged to the price of Bitcoin. The value of its underlying assets has not been reflected closely when it comes to the value of GBTC. We've seen up to 43% discrepancy when it comes to the value of the underlying assets in that trust and the value of the trust. So a lot of people have actually been arbitraging that opportunity, which is where they buy GBTC and hope that that discrepancy closes and that the value of GBTC actually does get back to the value of its underlying assets. And that's exactly what's happened. GBTC's discrepancy did reach zero yesterday. So the value of GBTC equaled the amount of Bitcoin in the trust for the first time in a very, very long time. Now, the people that managed to arbitrage that saw a huge deal, because if you were investing in GBTC when it had a 40% discrepancy, you've gained the value of Bitcoin's rally and you've gained another 40% on top of that. So it was a huge opportunity there that people were taking a big advantage of, as they should. And when that's happened, now that discrepancy is closed, they may now choose to move on. They may choose to go back into actual Bitcoin and use self-custody, or they may be looking at other ETFs that have the lower fees as stated. So there is just going to be some shifts here and some fluctuations because this is the first day into the markets, but the long-term news here is that this is super bullish here. Let's see what is going on. Let's go what's going on in the chat. Let's see it wouldn't touch ETF they have. Was pathetic how the sales came out. Be patient. Did you think all pension money would come on day one? Are you here for sats or for the fiat? Here for sats every day. Bitcoin companies take time to move their money. I think this was just like teething problems. We were going to see these shifts of money within the first couple of days. The long-term effects of this will change Bitcoin forever. It is still a super bullish event, although that wasn't reflected in the market price straight away. This is still super bullish. Please don't forget, before we continue with today's stream, to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. We've got a load of news to discuss here today, so make sure to stay tuned. We are currently on 21 likes, and we've got 30 viewers here on YouTube. If you're watching over on Twitter, please make sure to come over to YouTube, hit like, subscribe, but press the bell notification button. We do these live streams every single day, so make sure to tune in. Let's see what's going on next in this article here. We've got more articles to discuss these ETFs with. So spot Bitcoin ETFs crossed $1 billion in the first 30 minutes of trading. The ETF products came racing out the gates as investors flocked to them. In keeping up with the spot ETF volumes, James posted on Twitter stating that trading crossed $1.2 billion in the first 30 minutes. Now that is absolutely huge. They provided a graphic for the first 30 minutes of volume, with GBTC seeing the most at $446 million. BlackRock's IBIT followed in second place with $388 million, and Fidelity's FBTC third with $230 million. Now let me just have a sip of my drink. So he has stated that HODL got a later start than the other products. So not all of these products went live at the exact same time here, but GBTC volume is likely outflows here. So when we're looking at this, you can see a significant portion of the volume would be inflows, but he would only know for certain on Thursday morning. So we are seeing this today. He noted that he would also bet that a lot of the GBTC trading volume is outflows because people are moving their money, as we've just discussed. Boris says, I'm loving this channel. Thank you. Thank you very much for tuning in. We very much appreciate it. We've been doing these live streams for over a year now, and we want to grow the channel as big as possible. Jordan says, where's your CSE cup? I need to bring my CSE cup back out. We will bring that back tomorrow. Let's take a look at what else is going on in the markets here. Bitcoin ETF launch day analysis is the historic moment. I think we've discussed that enough. I think we need to move on to what else is going on here. BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF IBIT pulled in $111 million of new money, but the data is delayed. Rest of the $1 billion in volume will show up in tonight's flow, says Bloomberg's Eric. So that was a good start there to the markets. All of this volatility is good for the markets. All of this uproar about Bitcoin is good for the markets. even though we're not seeing the big push of marketing, when basically what's going to happen is when now these products are live, these companies that have issued these products are going to be marketing them like crazy. Now, we've only just seen the start of that. We're on the tip of the iceberg for that. But we have seen a huge kind of marketing stint when it comes to the SEC's approval of Bitcoin's ETFs, because everybody's talking about this and people are spreading the news about this. So we are still seeing Bitcoin marketing in a way, by word of mouth marketing, where people are now talking about Bitcoin because of this massive shift in the market. So it is still all good for Bitcoin. And maybe even seeing all of that, it's accepted, it's not, it's accepted, it's not, it's just brought more attention to Bitcoin. It's all positive in the long term. As long as we're getting attention on these assets in the long term, we are going to see growth, in my opinion. When it comes to a Bitcoin bull run, we are all anticipating that one will arrive in 2024, because historically Bitcoin halvings do trigger a bull market. And we can already start to see, I believe, more chatter about cryptocurrency once again. If you look at this time a year ago, or maybe 13 months ago, Bitcoin was in the depths of, it was down on the floor. It was a horrific time and nobody was talking about it. Nobody was interested in it. We were all working at Crypto Saving Expert every single day to try and build as quickly as possible and grow in that bear market. But it is so tough. Saying that you came in a bear market, so that's perfect timing, you just got lucky, is not true. It is so tough to stay motivated in a bear market when nobody is interested in what you have to say. We were doing these live streams every single day. Nobody was watching. Nobody cared. Now the price is starting to increase. The views are going up. We can see that across the board when it comes to YouTube channels. People are talking about it again. We're starting to have people ask questions. People that aren't in cryptocurrency ask questions about the space. And this all is what happens in a bull market. And it just increases and increases and increases. So all the stats are suggesting that we will have a very nice 2024. And I really do hope that is the case. Cup will be like the Bitcoin neon sign Jess has been putting up for the last 3 months. The Bitcoin neon sign is up. It's just not behind me. I will put it up behind me. I just don't know how I'm gonna get it. I don't want to drill through the foam, and I don't want to drill into the wall particularly. So it hasn't gone as planned. When it will mark the end of the bull run when that goes up. We don't want to risk that, do we? 40 viewers on today's stream on YouTube and only 27 likes. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. We've got somebody watching all the way from India today. When are you going to put your Bitcoin light up? You're all attacking me in the live chat today. I will get around to these things, just not yet. I'm getting a call here. Let's see what's going on in the markets here. We've got some more news. Let's move on from the spot Bitcoin ETFs now, because we've spoke about that a lot in the last couple of weeks. And I have a feeling that people aren't so interested in it anymore. We all understand what they are and the benefits they provide. But let's take a look at what's going on with inflation, because we did hear some inflation news from the US yesterday. That news came out at 1 p.m., I believe. Volatility did enter the market for a short period of time. It wasn't too much, and it wasn't the news we were hoping for either. So let's discuss that. Sticky inflation fails to stop the crypto ETF pump. The cryptocurrency market has added $150 billion to its overall market cap, despite the US CPI print coming in hotter than expected. So, the December print of the CPI came in hotter than expected as the Fed continues to struggle back inflation down to 2% target. Month-on-month CPI came in at 0.3% versus 0.2% expected, while year-on-year the index rose 3.4% versus 3.2% expected, per data from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. Housing costs were the main factor sending the CPI up, as they were responsible for more than half the headline increase. So what we've seen here is we had an estimation for what inflation would be, and it was even higher than that. So we can't even, what happens is typically on the run up to an inflation announcement or an interest rate announcement, the value, the price, it's already priced in by the time that announcement hits, and what's priced in is the expectation. But when the expectation is wrong, that's when we tend to see a little bit more volatility in the markets. However, yesterday was the first day of those spot Bitcoin ETFs going live. We were all super bullish in the cryptocurrency markets. And although we did hear that negative news when it came to inflation, it didn't dwindle the markets for too long. There was a slight bit of volatility, but then we went back on our supercharge up to $49,000. So Bitcoin was still holding strong there. Cryptocurrency is still holding strong. The past 24 hours have been monumentous for Bitcoin and the crypto market as a whole. all, in 24 hours, the total market cap for crypto has gone from $1.75 trillion to $1.9 trillion, an increase of $150 billion. And this is the highest level the total market cap has seen since May 2022. So still nice moves up here. It says 30 likes. We've got 32 likes on today's stream. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button. This is brilliant for a morning stream. On Wednesday's stream, when the SEC announced what was happening with the ETFs, that they were going live, we had that Martini guy in the chat, and we got up to 70 likes, I think it was, and we had 90 people watching the stream at one point in time. So make sure to help us hit those numbers again by interacting with the stream, commenting in the live chat, commenting down below, sharing the stream with your friends, and just try and push this channel to as many people as possible, because we want to be the biggest growing channel when it comes to cryptocurrency in 2024. We've been here since Bitcoin was down at $17,000 every single day. We started these streams on the 7th of December 2022, sorry. Let me take a look at when these live streams, I swear it was the 7th of December, because let me pull this up. Let's see what this date was. It was on the 7th of December 2022. Now, if we take a look at what's been happening for Bitcoin here, if we go to the weekly chart, this might be easier. Let's do the daily chart. Let's be more specific. December 2022, the 7th, did I just say? We were trading at $16,730. We've been making these live streams since Bitcoin was down at $16,700. If we take a look at what the effect of that is we've pumped Bitcoin 180%. That was all because we were here every day sharing that cryptocurrency news. We were saying at that point in time, things are about to change. This isn't the end of cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is not dead. And we were right. We were here trying to spread the news, trying to spread positivity in the markets. At that point in time, nobody was paying attention. Nobody was interested. And we were here, and some of you guys that are in the chat right now were here as well, listening to what we had to say and trying to stay positive when it came to cryptocurrency when the entire industry was negative. If you went on Twitter at that point in time, you would just receive hate. If you tweeted #Bitcoin, you'd get hate in your comments. It was so easy. Everybody was so angry about the space, and we were here trying to stay positive and show that there was light around the corner, and we have seen that, and hopefully we will see a lot more. If you're getting into cryptocurrency now, I still don't think you're too late to the game. We are going to see big changes in 2024. Yes, we have seen a big rally from within the last year, but there is definitely more to come from cryptocurrency. The SEC approving those ETFs has really shown a big positive push for the cryptocurrency space. It legitimizes cryptocurrency, and it really shows that the industry is here to stay. And we've got that Bitcoin halving around the corner as well, which historically triggers a bull market, and historically is the start to really nice gains in the market. So fingers crossed those patterns repeat and we do see really nice moves in 2024. Square Peg says you will be one of the biggest because you have all the quality. Fingers crossed. We work on the quality here every day. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button. Let's take a look at what else is going on in the markets here. So a Solana Mevbot has extracted $1.7 million from a back-running strategy on a $9 million whiff trade. So maximal extraction value is a concept within blockchain technology wherein blockchain validators manipulate the order of transactions within blocks to extract the maximum value possible in each validation. This manipulation, also termed front running, provides extra profit beyond the standard block rewards and gas fees. Now, they've managed to profit $1.7 million from a single trade there, which is absolutely huge. So, this took place in a low liquidity pool. All of this came out. If you want to see be more technical on this article, I'm going to drop the link to it in today's live chat. But some people are technical, some people are not. Some people are here for the investment, some people are here for the technical, and I like to mix between the two, but I know that the technical can be quite boring if you're here to look at the gains. Let's see here. Square Peg says, wow, that chart does look like getting a pullback. Let's discuss that. We will analyze the price of Bitcoin properly at the end of today's stream, because I think there are some things to consider here, especially off the back of not getting that bullish news when it came to spot Bitcoin ETF. So let's just run through these last articles quickly. We've got here, Vitalik Buterin suggests increase in block gas limit to increase network throughput. So the Ethereum co-founder has suggested increasing the block gas limit to increase the Ethereum network's throughput there. We've got Circle files for IPO with the SEC. Apparently they are very confident that they will be able to convert into a public company. So that would be very interesting. They're the issuer of USDC, the stablecoin token. We've got the latest development in Bitcoin ordinals inscriptions, so we're going to take a look at NAT here. Now, this is a really interesting one because obviously we're seeing a lot of hype around Bitcoin right now with these ETFs, but we are also seeing a lot of hype around ordinals and inscriptions. So let's take a look at this. This ordinals are essentially when you put data onto it, you inscribe it into a Satoshi, which is the smallest unit of Bitcoin. So, NAT is attempting to make a dent on Bitcoin by transforming how tokens are issued with ordinals. So, on launch, more than 10,000 Bitcoin addresses spent $5 million in gas fees to mint NAT in the first week. So, the hype is undoubtedly here. Let's take a deeper look into the project. So, there are different projects in the markets that are trying to develop onto the Bitcoin network and try and transition what Bitcoin is really here for. Now, there's a lot of debate to be had around this. I know that I previously haven't got too involved with ordinals because I don't really want to see the Bitcoin network being congested. I think it should be a peer-to-peer payment system. But we are seeing some big developments here. We are seeing people making big gains from these opportunities. So I am trying to be a little bit more open-minded when it comes to ordinals here. And as we see the technology develop, maybe those issues that I am so against will start to kind of disperse and we will find some solutions to these problems. But what we're seeing is essentially people building onto Bitcoin and trying to transfer what Bitcoin is just, it's currently a peer-to-peer payment system. You can send money anywhere across the world. But you can't really build on it and build decentralized applications like you can on Ethereum. Now we're seeing a lot of people trying to build on top of Ethereum, put things onto the Bitcoin blockchain and try and give it more kind of use cases than just being a peer-to-peer payment system. Something I haven't historically really agreed with, but something I'm really trying to be a little bit open-minded about. So we will be talking a lot more about ordinals within the last couple of weeks because I think there is a big opportunity here, to be honest. When it comes to the SEC accepting Bitcoin ETFs, Bitcoin's got a whole new set of eyes on it. And the cryptocurrency space as a whole has got a new set of eyes on it. And I think with this focus on Bitcoin, taking advantage of seeing what we can build on the Bitcoin blockchain as well could be really positive and could be really profitable. Fonty says, glad I found your channel. Thank you very much for tuning in today. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. News off the street. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink says they see value in having an Ethereum ETF. Well, this is exactly what I wanted to discuss right now. So what's happened in the last couple of days is Bitcoin got its ETF approved. We all know that. I think I've said that about 50 times on today's stream. But the price of Bitcoin didn't move, whereas the price of Ethereum did. Now, we did compare Ethereum to Bitcoin this morning, earlier on today's stream. You can see Ethereum has shot up to the upside, very much so. We've seen some altcoins performing very well as well. Now, the reason I believe this is happening is because people were front-running Bitcoin's ETF approval. The price of Bitcoin soared off the back of the anticipation of those ETFs. And now we're seeing the same for Ethereum. We've seen Ethereum ETF applications from big institutions. And now people want to front run the next big thing. We've already seen the gains from Bitcoin, so what's next? Well, the same thing could be about to happen to Ethereum. If we see more hype around the Ethereum ETFs and we see those deadlines approach, maybe we'll see the same price movements we've just seen in Bitcoin. So people are trying to take advantage of that, I think. And there is a big opportunity here. So let's see what else is going on. We've got one last news article here and then we'll take a look at this. Do Kwon seeks to delay SEC versus Terraform Labs trial. Here's why. So Do Kwon's counsel told US judge that their client's extradition proceedings are not proceeding as quickly as expected. So we may see some sorts of delay there. I don't know how many of you are still following the Do Kwon case. It's still an interesting one. It's not something I'm following too closely. It's kind of a thing of the past now. Obviously, we want to see what the outcome of this is in the long term, but I'm not really sifting through all the nitty-gritty stuff in the middle. But if you guys are interested in that and you want to hear more about that, I can do my research on that and present it to you in the chat. Fonzie says, word is XRP ETF coming too. So yeah, we are seeing expectations of altcoin ETFs being applications being made for altcoin ETFs within the next couple of months or years. And yes, that would be a really positive thing for the industry. Do I think Gary Gensler is going to be over the moon with this suggestion? No. Let's take a look at what's going on with some altcoins here. So first of all, Ethereum has performed very, very nicely off the back of this news. It is already up 20% there. Let's take a look at how Chainlink is doing, because I don't know how many of you guys that are watching the channel now were on the stream when the SEC really announced that ETFs were going live, but we really noticed something key in the markets there, and that was the fact that Chainlink has just been slow off the mark every single time we've seen pumps recently. This is something I've really noticed. So what we keep seeing is altcoins start to perform well, Ethereum's performing well, altcoins start to perform well, we all see some gains, and then Chainlink starts to perform well, a little bit delayed, and that's really an opportunity. So definitely something to be aware of. Now let's take a look at what else is going on when it comes to altcoins. Let's take a look at Polkadot, because people were saying on that stream on Wednesday that Polkadot was performing well. If we take a look here, it's currently trading at $8.10. You can see it had a really nice pump there. If we take a look at this, we are talking a 20% gain there as well. Smirthy's in the chat this morning. Good morning. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. The engagement on this channel has grown massively within the last couple of weeks, and we hope to continue to see that growth so we can get one of those nice big 100,000 subscriber plaques from YouTube. That is exactly what I want, and that won't take as long to go up on the street on the wall behind me. I will drill a hole in that wall as soon as we get to 100,000 subscribers, and the plaque will be up behind me. That's going to go up faster than that Bitcoin neon sign, I bet. But let's take a look at what is going on. What should we take a look at here? I want to spend some time going through some altcoins, so drop some altcoins in the chat today, and we'll just have a look through them. We've got a little bit of time to kill. I've got 20 minutes before my meeting, so let's just talk about some different altcoins in the markets and what's going on here. First of all, suggestion, let's go back to the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, because I think this one is an important one to discuss here. Ethereum has rallied off the back of the Bitcoin ETFs being approved, because people are trying to front run the potential Ethereum ETFs that could be going live here. SquarePeg says, go Gary, he was forced to make the deciding vote for Bitcoin. He hated it but said he was forced. I would love to have been a fly on the wall for that situation. Well, Gary Gensler, there was actually a vote inside the SEC to determine whether these Bitcoin ETFs should go live or not, and it was 3v2 to Bitcoin, and Gary Gensler was actually on the side of which he voted for these ETFs to go live. Now, is that because he was trapped in a corner? Maybe. What we saw was Grayscale applied for a Bitcoin ETF over a year ago now. They got rejected, and then they created a lawsuit with the SEC and said, the reason you've rejected this is not fair. If we've already got Bitcoin futures products in the market, you cannot say that there are concerns when it comes to the underlying assets, because there's already projects out there, funds out there with the same underlying assets. So you need to accept our ETF. So then what happened was they had that whole lawsuit, the SEC lost, and then the SEC had really no other choice to either find another reason as to why spot Bitcoin ETFs go live, or just let them go live. And they were really put into that corner. The last thing the SEC wanted to see was they didn't want to reject all these ETF filings and then end up in a huge amount of lawsuits with all of these massive institutions. And it just was never going to work if they rejected them. We were saying this on the channel over and over again. People kept coming into the markets and saying it's too obvious that these ETFs are going to get accepted. They're going to reject them. The markets never play out as expected. But we were looking at all the facts and saying, the educated guess is that yes, they are going to launch, because the SEC do not have another choice. They don't want to be in more lawsuits, and they don't have any valid reason as to why they should reject these products. So it was blindingly obvious to us that these products were going live. It was a matter of when, not if. If they found any way to delay it, potentially they could have taken that on, but we were here on the channel stating there's no other option for the SEC at this point in time. They can delay and delay and delay, but these products are going to go live, and that is exactly what we have seen. So we were all prepared for that on the channel here. Fonzie says, I see Gary as a puppet for the Economic Forum, holding back whilst they set up the new financial system. Well, what we've seen here is now BlackRock is in, Fidelity are in, all of these massive institutions are in. Actually, one thing I wanted to talk about here was Larry Fink made a comment on Bitcoin this morning. Larry Fink, Bitcoin... Let's see if we can get the news up from this morning. He stated this morning that he sees value in the Ethereum ETF, but he also said that he sees Bitcoin as a investment asset, not a currency. So let's see if we can find that here. Here we go. So this is what he said this morning in the same statements where he said he sees he's got interest in Ethereum ETFs. He said, I'm a believer in cryptocurrency as an asset class, not a currency as well. So that's something to keep in mind of. This is not the same person. So we've seen notably the approval of spot Bitcoin ETF. There has been a smart money inflow into Ethereum over the last 24 hours. We once again see ETH having the largest smart money inflows. However, it's important to understand that DEX volumes are still small compared to centralized exchanges, and large price movements in large caps are likely due to volume on centralized exchanges, which we won't have oversight of. Now, one thing I would like to discuss here is I was expecting on the channel, when it comes to these ETFs, that we were going to see them launch into the markets, we were going to see Bitcoin have a nice run to the upside, and I was actually expecting after a week or so to see a crash. Now, we haven't seen that pump to the upside, so what does that mean? I'm looking at the markets in the long term here, and yes, we have really bullish news that's just entered the markets, but I am being cautious because what we've seen is we've seen nice moves to the upside, we've seen a nice, healthy, uptrend where we get higher highs and higher lows, but we've not seen a pullback since back in August 2023. Now that makes me nervous. If we take a look at what happened in the previous bull market, you can see that we don't always get massive pullbacks, but we do tend to see some sideways action, some pullbacks at parts in the markets. We do see in a bull market 20% pullbacks, 30% pullbacks over and over again. These things aren't uncommon, and they do not mean the bull market has ended. It's just a kind of a relief rally, a little bit of a crash, a liquidation fight. We do see pullbacks in a bull market. Now, we haven't seen one yet. If you look at this chart, to be honest, there wasn't a significant one for a very long time there. We're talking between the September 2020 and November 2020. We're looking at between December 2020 and January 2021. But we've been going up and up and up for months now. So I am slightly cautious that maybe we are in for some sideways action here. Maybe we are in for a little bit of a pullback here. We haven't seen too many pullbacks in the last couple of months, so I am being cautious, but the Bitcoin ETF news does change this. That's the reason we've pumped so hard, and they are now live. So maybe that we won't see those opportunities. Who knows at this point in time? The markets have changed. I'm just being cautious here. We've seen the news come out. Yes, we have that Bitcoin halving in April, but do we have any other reasons to completely moon right now? No. So I do think sideways action is a possibility here. But that's all we really have for today's stream. So thank you very much for tuning in as always. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. That's all we have for today.